Hi, my name is Renee Robyn and I'm the Optics Product Manager, and today I'm going to walk you through how to use light leaks. Alright, so here we are in Photoshop. As is tradition, we are going to duplicate our layer by hitting Control-Command-J on the keyboard, and we're going to right-click and convert this to a smart object. From here, we're going to go Filter, Boris Effects, Optics. Apply previous filters and masks, we're going to say no because I don't actually remember what I was doing and it's not going to be applicable today. From here, I'm going to go into Essentials, and I am working in the default workspace in Optics 2026. So in the Essentials tab, this is where if you're really new to Optics, I recommend just playing in the Essentials. There's tons in here to keep you busy. But today we're going to go to S_LightLeak, which is Sapphire's light leak. And Sapphire's tools are really wonderful. One of the things that I love about them that I always recommend doing even before you select one of these is always look in the parameters on the right-hand side here for a time slider. These time sliders are beautiful because they work, obviously, this comes from motion graphics tools. So this is very, very handy for us. So let's pick a light leak preset that works kind of with our image today. So I'm going to pick Big, Bright, Fast, and Warm. Now we look at this and we're like, oh my God, there's so many things going on with this image. What is happening? And by the way, you can zoom in and out on the keyboard by hitting the plus or minus button on the keyboard, or you can zoom in and out with the scrolly wheel on your mouse. So if we look at this, I'm going to grab these light leaks, and we grab the little bullet point and we can just move these around to wherever it is that we want them to go. And then over here, we can move this one as well. They also have tip, which is this vertical line here, so we can rotate them a little bit. You'll see how they flicker and change. And again, this is because they come from motion graphics tools. And then we can also scale them bigger or smaller, like so. Same thing with this one here. We can see exactly what colors we have brought in. So this one's got a bunch of purple in it. Not really sure if I'm feeling that for this image, so I'm going to show you how to get rid of that later. So for now, let's look here at just where everything is sitting. So I'm going to pull this one here off to the side a little bit. And if everything is starting to overexpose, that's okay, don't worry. It's very easy to fix. On the parameters side here, on the far right hand side, we have the time slider. I always recommend hitting the time slider and just seeing if there's maybe a time spot that appeals to you more. So I kind of like this, but this lens flare is too bright. That's okay, we can work with that. These first sets of parameters here affect all of the elements in this image. They affect everything. So we can scale the lights. It's going to adjust how bright all of them are at the same time. We can also adjust offset darks, which is going to affect everything as well. I usually don't play with offset darks too much because I can just hit the scale lights instead, and that works pretty good. We also have overall color, so we can adjust the color of all of them independently and kind of give them an overall tint. Let's try something like this. It's kind of like peachy color for now. Let's hit OK. Now there's hue shift, of course, because we can hue shift them to wherever we want to once we've added a color, but I'm going to reset that. I don't need it. I can also adjust the saturation, so I can increase or decrease the saturation of all of the elements all together at the same time. If you're first new into optics and everything, I usually say don't worry about gamma too much. Gamma is basically going to adjust the brightness or darkness of your image without necessarily affecting contrast. Shift X and Shift Y, this is just going to move the placement of all of the light leaks all together. So instead of moving them independently, if you want all of the light leaks to shift a little bit left or shift a little bit up or down, Shift X and Shift Y are going to move them for you all at the same time, which is very handy. Then there's Seed. So Seed is just another version of Timeline. It does operate a little bit differently, but because this is an introduction, don't worry about it. I usually recommend playing with the time and Seed slider just to see what you get. And then background brightness, obviously this is going to affect how bright your image is. So if you just want to see the light leaks, if you want to see the image as well, I don't ever touch background brightness. Then we have Combine. We can set this to Screen. We can set this to Add, which is going to be far more contrasty and bright. So again, this depends on your image, or you can just show the leaks only. So I'm going to leave it on Screen. Now what we have here, this is the glow brightness of the image of these light leaks themselves. Do we want to have this kind of hotspot, or do we just want the color? So this is really nice, depending on what the image is that you're working on and what it's calling for. So let's pretend that this is like an engagement session or something like that. I should have used a photo of a couple for an engagement session, but that's okay. Then there's also the glow width, but because I've reduced the glow brightness, it's a little bit harder to see. So let's turn up the glow brightness to a little too much. I'm going to see adjust the glow width. So So you're gonna see how it gets like really sharp edges here, and then we can also really soften that out a whole bunch. I'm gonna turn down that brightness a little bit because I kind of just like the color overlay. And then there's glow threshold. So this is reading the threshold data in your image itself. I don't usually push the glow threshold slider very often. It's very rare, so I wouldn't worry too much about that one. Element 1, enable. So this is our first element here. So if we turn this on and off, we're gonna see that this is going to appear and disappear. So size 1, this is literally this circle slider here that we were going through earlier. So we can scale this if we wanted to with the on-screen controls, or we can use the sliders if we want to. So personally, I'm partial to using the on-screen controls. It's just more intuitive to me, I find. But again, it's up to you. Relative height as well, so we can stretch these and skew them so we can make them more horizontal or more vertical ovals. And then of course we have independent brightness here, so we can turn down the brightness if we wanted to, and then the angle slider, which again is just this on-screen control here that we can tip manually again if we want to. Center, just the placement, very easy. Outer color, mid color, and center color. The center color is usually the brightest point because that's usually where the hotspot lives, but I have outer color and mid color. This image here, if I look at the colors in this image, there are these beautiful like kind of creamy whites and beautiful greens and stuff like that, but we want this little flash of sunlight color to be coming in, which means I'm gonna want my element 1 colors to be different from my element 3 color. Element 2 is this one here, and we'll get through that in a second. So let's turn this layer back on, and let's make these colors kind of like nice warm sunshine color. Because there's technically, I wouldn't use a lens flare for this, right? Because there's no obvious light hit coming in. So I just want this nice, beautiful light leak, this nice, pretty color. So let's make this a little bit warmer, a little bit less olive. There we go, something like that, nice, pretty yellow. And let's get rid of this greenish color as well. Let's warm this up, make that a little warmer like so. Just eyeballing the colors. And center color I'm going to leave alone as white. If you are new to using light leaks, this second half of these sliders here, just don't worry about them. It's okay. This is like all noise details, noise amplification, noise frequency. If you want to affect the noise, I always leave this at default because I like to adjust the noise, typically using film stocks, and I'll show you how to do that next. This is our element 1. Element 2, if we turn this on and off, this is that kind of purpley one that we were looking at that I wasn't really feeling too strong about. So I'm just actually going to just deactivate it. I can just turn it straight off and it's just going to disappear, and I just don't have to worry about it anymore. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to go to element 3, which is this one here on the right hand side. So if I don't have this light leak on in the foreground, this looks very weighted strangely. The colors don't really make sense, but we have this beautiful bouquet from the flowers here in the foreground. So I thought I would just amplify that a little bit. So I'm going to grab this center color because these first 2 colors here, they really do match kind of the olive colors in the scene itself. I could, if I wanted to, I could sample. So I can grab this little eyedropper tool here and I can sample the green in the image itself so I can actually grab authentic colors to the shot. So we turn this back on. I'm going to grab the center color here and let's make this a nice, beautiful pale white, something that's going to match right there. Now if I turn this element 3 on again, we're going to see this looks like so. It's again a little bit too bright, it's a little too strong. So I'm just going to adjust the brightness of it here. I'm just going to turn this down. Whenever we're doing these kinds of things, remember, we want people to notice how beautiful this image is. We want people to look at themselves in these photos, you know, of their family and those people who are closest to them and go, oh my God, that's such a beautiful shot. You don't want them to go like, oh, I love the light leak that you added in that image, right? Like, no, that defeats the purpose entirely. I'm going to not really worry about anything else in this. I'm kind of really liking where this is going. So if I turn this on and off like so, it's looking pretty good. Let's go back up here to element number 1 and let's adjust that size just a titch. Let's make it a little bit bigger and then let's turn down the brightness a little bit. Again, nice and subtle work is always best. So once I have this looking kind of how I like it, what I then like to do is I like to add a new layer. So this is looking pretty good to me. I can turn this on and off with the eyeball, or I can go up here to the very top of the image and hit Alt-A on the keyboard, or I can compare them side by side right here with Alt-S. I like this, but it needs a little bit more work to it. I like to make a new layer, so I go to this little pancake stack here in the bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to go over to film stocks. And there is a beautiful one here right near the front, this Agfa Color 100. I do really like this one. It's going to add this like very nice vintage look to it. I'm going to do just a tiny little bit of tweaking because there's like in the highlights here, there is a little bit of magenta, and I just want to warm that up a bit. And I want to get rid of some of that magenta. So let's grab this And I'm basically just manually adjusting these sliders here. This is kind of giving me this like beautiful vintage look. So if I turn the light leaks on and off underneath, this is what this looks like. So it's a little too contrasty. So if I turn this on like so, this is giving me these beautiful film stocks looks here. And as you can see, it has this beautiful grain profile built right into the filter. I don't need to change anything on that. From here, I can also go down and I can adjust the sharpness if I wanted to, so I can make this image a little bit sharper. I can also add some vignette if I wanted to add a little bit, but obviously a vignette wouldn't make any sense when we've just added light leaks. That would be kind of counterintuitive, I think. And the other thing I can do is if I feel like this is a little bit strong, I can just grab the layer opacity here where it says 100 at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And I can just turn this down just a tiny little bit. And let's add just a little bit more contrast. There we go. Let's just turn that up a little bit. There we go. So that is before and after. And again, if I turn the light leak on and off, that is the before and this is the after. So I really like this result. It gives me, again, like with the intention of making this kind of a more vintage looking image. It's very classy, I find. And so from here, I'm just going to hit apply. And there we go. That is our before and after using the light leaks and the film stocks as a finishing touch. If we're looking at this and we want to just tweak a little bit more, of course, we can just adjust the layer opacity here and I can make this just a little bit more subtle if I wanted to, or we can go back into optics by double clicking on optics and going back into the UI again. That is the benefit working with a smart object. If we wanted to make any extra adjustments, let's turn this back up to 100%. We can double click on optics and it's going to say apply previous filters and masks. We're going to say yes. Now, on the off chance that it doesn't load the first time, sometimes this happens, you can just cancel out, don't hit apply, just hit cancel out and go back into Photoshop and double click on the optics icon again. And when it asks you to apply previous filters and masks, usually on the second try, it'll do it. So every now and then, sometimes that can cause a little bit of hiccups for you. Here, I'm just going to turn down the film stocks effect just a tiny little bit more. I'm going to make sure that my light leaks are just a little bit brighter because I find with that preset film stock on top, we lose a little bit too much. There we go. So if we hit apply here, actually, you know what? I have a better idea. So this is the other benefit of working with film stocks and working with optics is I can change my mind whenever I want to. So I'm going to go to the Agfa RSX to 100. So this one here also is really nice. I do like the Agfa Color 100, but I think for this image, this film stocks one with the RSX is a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go down here to my contrast. I'm going to increase that contrast a tiny little bit, knock down, let's see here. There we go. And let's turn down the brightness of those highlights just a titch. And I'm going to just reduce that opacity a tiny little bit. And let's add, let's see here. We're going to leave the grain alone because the grain looks great. The grain is very, very lovely on this preset. It's so delicate. Let's add just a tiny little bit of sharpening. I think this one is a little bit smoother than the other one that I was working with. Welcome to doing tutorials with me because I sometimes change my mind mid-recording. All right, so here we are with the film stock. This is before and after, and then with the light leaks, before and after. And again, if I find this is a little strong, I just turn down that layer opacity and we tweak things until we have this nice, beautiful, gentle, delicate color grade. So now I'm gonna go back into Photoshop, I'm gonna hit apply. That's much more pleasing. That's much more delicate. And again, if we want to, we can just turn down the overall effect of everything. And we have this just gentle, warm, beautiful engagement shoot styled color grade. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments.